the police were using horses and dogs, and I'm very much against that. But apart from that element, the policing was done, from my point of view, from what I've seen, was done really well.
Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rebecca, a vegan Pixie warrior. This lovely gentleman over here is Gawain, a friend of mine and fellow activist. This is quite unusual for me because it's an off-the-cuff one, and I just wanted to make a video that was talking about what's happening at the moment in the UK with the bill and the potential for us to not be able to protest. And I'm going to cover a number of different types of protest as well in this, because I'm really worried about my form of activism that I love, and street activism, and how it's going to affect us. So, Gawain, thank you for coming on. Like, you've been on my channel once or twice before, and I love you for coming on today. This was last minute, and so thank you for giving it your time. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, I've got loads of worries about this bill as well. I think everyone has, but yeah, I'm really worried about it for vigils and for everything, like you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to affect a lot of things. So for those of you that have been living under a rock for the last week and don't know what the bill is about, Priti Patel is putting forward a bill that has been rushed through Parliament. It has not been confirmed or gone live yet, but they're in discussions for it. And it is to add new restrictions to protesters. So you get 10 years in prison or a £10,000 fine. Is that right, Gawain?
Yeah, it's 10 years in prison for annoying someone, isn't it?
For annoyance, yeah. So you could be, for example, you're an animal rights march in London and there's someone working in an office building and can hear the noise from the animal rights march, from you shouting, "What do we want? Animal liberation. When do we want it? Now." So those raised voices might annoy that person working in the office, or it might annoy the person that sat outside Costa Coffee with their cup of coffee and cause them disturbance. So then the police have the right to end the protest there and then. Have I got it right?
Yeah. In fact, it says as well, doesn't it? It says that ignorance isn't an excuse, so you can just be arrested. And inconvenience is one of them. So if you're, say, on the anti-fur protest outside Canada Goose, inconvenience to Canada Goose, isn't it? Or if you're at a vigil, that's an inconvenience to the slaughterhouse. So it has a potential to clamp down on all of those things.
Yeah, it does.
And they're the most moderate kinds of activism, right? They're the most chill. That's not even
exactly.
action.
It's like I was saying today to someone I was in a conversation with, I'm worried about chalking events, because while we're talking, we might write nice things like friends, not food, or do the word vegan and then put different words next to it, or what if the chalking offends people and causes an inconvenience because they can't walk through that bit of the pathway because someone's on their knees writing vegan messages out in chalk? And for me, doing street activism with TV screens showing footage of what happens to animals, all it takes is a couple of anti-vegans to phone the police going, "I'm disturbed by the footage that they're showing." And that's going to, what if children see that, which we get all the time anyway. But we've been really lucky up until now with regards to the police 100% supporting our Cube of Truths that we've had in Bristol for the last 2 years. But moving forward, is this new bill going to affect that? And excuse my French, fuck it up.
Yeah, well, it definitely has a potential to. And people say, "Oh, it won't be used like that." It's like, well, why is it in the wording of the bill then? Why? And it's down to the officer's discretion. It's a certain level of officer. That's what qualifies as annoying. So effectively, they're the judge in that situation. They're the judge and the jury. And yeah, you could be literally at a vigil and technically for it. So why have that in the wording of the bill? Why have that in the wording of the bill if they're not going to use it?
Yeah, and also, what if one police officer comes past you and says, you okay to say, let us know if you're having any trouble? An hour later, another police officer comes up and says, shut this shit down, turn those
Yeah.
TV screens off,
Point.
or
Yeah.
leave this slaughterhouse now, or wash that chalk off the pavement. So, two police officers could have a different opinion of what is annoying and what is a disturbance. Am I
Yeah.
wrong or am I right?
No, that's right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's heading towards an authoritarian state, isn't it? That's what it is.
It's a worry.
It's a
And
real oppression of our freedoms.
exactly. And what prompted me to making this video and inviting you on to talk was I watched a film on the weekend, which I told you about and I shared with you.
Yeah.
And when you think of protesting, you think of gay rights and women's rights and the coal miners that marched in the 80s for their, the miners' strike. You think of animal rights protesters. You think of, the Black Lives Matter march. That's what you think of when you think of protesters. The last thing you think about is well, for me anyway, I didn't think about it. So I
Same
watched a
here.
film called, what was it called again now?
Crip camp.
Camp, yeah, on Netflix. If you haven't seen Crip Camp, watch it. I'm going to put some footage over the top of this from some clips of it and some of the people that were in the film. This film was one of the most powerful and beautiful films I have seen in a really, really long time. And it's about in the States, so people that are watching from the States will know this, but people from the UK might not be so familiar. In the States, over the summer holidays, kids are sent off to summer camp, or band camp. If you've seen American Pie, you'll know about band camp. So they had a camp that was set up in the 50s for people with disabilities. So that would have been polio, or it could be cerebral palsy, or any, spina bifida, any number of disabilities. And it was an amazing camp where they could just do what they want, play baseball, go swimming, have their first kiss, and just act like kids with no judgment and no one looking at them, no one afraid to talk to them, and just be themselves. And it was beautiful. So what happened is in the 70s, they had this civil rights movement for these people with disabilities. Were you aware of this, Gawain?
I'm ashamed to say that I wasn't. I'm actually ashamed to say that, but no, I wasn't.
No,
This Crip camp was the first I'd seen of it. And I won't give any away, but I got to towards the end and I had to pause it. I sent you a message saying, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I was really overwhelmed. Really overwhelmed.
Really overwhelming. And I didn't like, sometimes if I'm overwhelmed by something or feel emotional, I start crying, but I didn't. Do you know what I was doing all the way through the film? I was going, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's what I was doing, just punching in the air. And these amazing group of people went off and they protested and for the right to be able to use the New York Underground, for the right to be able to access school, for the right to be able to access public toilets. I mean, little things that we able-bodied people take for granted every day of our lives. You just don't think about it.
It was a real eye-opener watching that Crip camp. Yeah, anyone. Oh, I said it. Yeah, anyone that hasn't seen it, you need to watch it. It's amazing, and that sort of brings us on to this bill as well, doesn't it? Because they wouldn't have been able to do that if this bill was in place, right?
Exactly, and they did a peaceful protest as well. Like it wasn't violent; it was peaceful, and you know, the civil rights movement with regards to Black people getting their civil rights was a peaceful movement for the most part. Now, Priti Patel would not have her job right now if it wasn't for an amazing movement in the early 1900s called the suffragettes. And the suffragettes were the most violent movement of all of them. They burnt shit up and they smashed shit up. They were amazing.
Yeah.
And all we're trying to do is a peaceful protest. So it's been brought up mainly because of Extinction Rebellion and then locking down London. I believe that's why they're talking about it, really. Is that right?
But the thing is, they've already got the rights to shut those down. If you're obstructing a highway, they've already got the rights to do it. So, I mean, Extinction Rebellion and everything, they let that go on to a certain extent for whatever strategic and tactical reason they had for doing that. They've already got the right to shut things like that down. So this is really just an infringement on stuff like digital, where you're not doing anything. It's not any form of direct action. democratic, peaceful protest.
Well, you broke up again, then come back in. Your sound went. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just a clampdown on democratic, peaceful protest. It's not, because direct action has already got all of the laws covered for direct action for blocking the highways and anything like that. So it is just a direct attack on peaceful democratic protest.
Yeah. And what someone said to me today said that if the bill goes through, if you're an organizer of a march, it will be okay. But I don't think that they've read the bill properly, because that's not the impression that I got. If you're an organizer and you get found out, then you're going to have a £10,000 fine or a 10-year prison sentence. Now, I've mentioned before, and I kind of jinxed yesterday's march, yesterday's protest on Grumpy Vegan Grandad's stream on Saturday night, because I was saying how wonderful the Bristol police are and a wonderful relationship I have with them, and how supportive they were of the Animal Rights March, and how great Bristol are. And the Black Lives Matter march was peaceful. Yes, they tore a statue down, but they did not cause any damage to any public property or private building throughout the whole of that march. They just tore one statue down that needed to be torn down.
Oh God, yeah.
And then you had family at the march yesterday, at the start of the march, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
What
I
did
did.
they
Yeah.
say about the march when they were there in the context? We're talking about Bristol March now for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah.
There was but we'll come on to what happened in a moment. But for the most part, what did your family say?
It was really beautiful. I had really great. I wasn't there, but there was really great pictures. Everything was social distanced where they were. There was other people that weren't social distancing, but my family were social distancing, and they were free to do that. And it was really good vibes and really good natured. And I got some really great. It's kids. Kids were there. It was very kid friendly. So it was really good to start with, definitely.
And I saw photos of the police there at yesterday's march in Bristol at the protest, just chilling back, standing back and watching. And they were like, not really bothered, and they were just letting people police themselves, I guess. It seemed like it was going really, really well for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all kicked off and it went wrong, and it's been all over in the news. And I'm probably going to be late to the party on this because we're filming this on Monday. So it's the day after this has happened. It won't be going up on my channel until Thursday. And yeah, then the shit hit the fan. And that worries me. It worries me because you're just playing into Priti Patel's hands by burning police vans and spray painting and smashing things up. You're just playing into her hands. And also, I heard someone, I don't know if it was you actually that told me, Gawain, or might be someone else, they weren't even shouting "kill the bill." The rioters that turned up to Bristol last night were shouting,
Oh, really?
end lockdown. And they were shouting other things that were
Oh,
nothing to
really?
do with the
Okay.
actual protest. So whether they were
Yeah.
confused about it or not.
Yeah.
But what's your opinion on how it turned out?
Well,
Night?
I'm normally quite critical of a lot of policing tactics of the protest, but I looked at a lot of videos and I didn't see anything personally, apart from the fact that the police were using horses and dogs, and I'm very much against that. But apart from that element, the policing was done, from my point of view, from what I've seen, was done really well, and they were really restrained. They were really calm. In fact, they looked completely outnumbered at the beginning of it, and it looked like that was taken advantage of. And that's when the vehicles started getting burnt and graffitied, and buildings started getting attacked. And then obviously I don't know if they got reinforcements from other areas, or whether it was emergency police that they brought in, but they got reinforcements anyway. But the thing is, all of that stuff is already illegal, right? You get big jail sentences for like burning a police back. All of that stuff is already illegal. So it should. I mean, it might be spun to the advantage of taking the bill through. I mean, the bill's already passed. The bill's already passed on the House of Commons. It just needs its reading by the MPs, which has been delayed, but we don't know until when. And it goes to the House of Lords. So it's already been voted on. It's already passed the House of Commons.
But they now have to discuss it again because of the petitions that have come out. And there is a .gov petition that has been drawn up, and that's got over 100,000 signatures. So they have to discuss it again in Parliament. They have to.
Yeah.
My worry is last night is going to just play into the government's hands, and they're going to be like, right, well, they've shown that they can't be trusted, the public can't be trusted to protest. We're making protests illegal because of what happened in Bristol. My other worry is that they go ahead and do that, and they do, this bill gets completed and passed, and more of these riots happen.
Yeah, they will happen if this bill passes. The funny thing is, right, although the policing, I felt the policing policy was done right last night from what I can, it's a combination, isn't it? People have been inside for a year, and they've been on constant lockdowns, and the government have been slipping things through, like this bill, stuff like that, when we don't have a right to go out and protest, and they slipped it in really quickly, just shoved it in, and a week later, Parliament's voting on it. And it seems really underhanded, and people are angry. People are already frustrated because they've been in for a year. All the small businesses have been shut down. Massive amounts of big businesses have done really well out of it, and loads of small businesses have been shut down, and people are affected. So they're already angry. So although, like, I think that the policing was done last night, it seemed to be done really well, it doesn't surprise me that something like this happened, because people's emotions are bubbling over, aren't they? Because so much and so much clamped in. So it's not a surprise. I don't think it was right. I saw a video yesterday that it was a car park, private car park, and then somebody had just smashed all of the windscreens along. There was about 20, 30 cars along, smashing all the windscreens. Like, I mean, what's the point in that? You're just like screwing it over for people that personal cars. You know, that's not. No, that's not cool.
That's not cool.
I mean,
It's
burning
not.
the police van down isn't cool either. But that's even less. That's even less cool.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not the police that are putting this bill through, it's the government. And I think people need to remember that. And, I have different opinions. Like I discussed earlier on with somebody else, I'm a privileged white Western woman. I've never been in trouble with the police. Or I've never been caught for anything anyway. But I've never had a problem with the police. I've never been in trouble with them. They've always been someone I can rely on and someone who supported me. But I know that that is not the same for everyone. And I know that there are police that are bad apples, and I'm not saying they're not. But this bill is not being put forward by the police. In fact, I think even didn't the Chief of Scotland Yard say that this bill shouldn't be put forward? Someone.
Possibly, I've not seen that, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's a draconian bill.
I'll have a look. I'll find it and I'll flash it up right now. But
Right here.
right here. But it's the government that are doing this, and I think they're petrified. But I don't know, and I don't know what we can do, because we tried doing protesting, and then some people have ruined it for us. And is lobbying going to work? Now I know very little about lobbying, but I know you know
Yeah.
more than me, Gawain. So
I don't think I do. I just know that the dairy lobbyists are bad.
Okay. But lobbying is a thing. So if you do know about lobbying, please message me or Gawain on Instagram and let us know what we can do to help. I want to help. I want to stop this from going forward. We were meant to have Grumpy Vegan Grandad on with us, but he's just messaged me to say, can we do it tomorrow morning? So we're not going to do that tomorrow morning, because I'm going to be editing this tomorrow morning. But what are your concerns out there? Let us know in the comments. Please tell me, what you're doing or what ideas you've got to try and stop this, and share the petitions everywhere. Share other people's videos. I know Ellie from Beacon Gaze has done a video about it. Grumpy was talking about it on his channel last week. I think also Peace with Reese has talked about it, and a few people have. But have you got any final things to say on the matter, Gawain?
No, that's about it. I think we have to continue to exercise our democratic right to protest, and if it does get to the point where they're really trying to push this bill through, the only thing we can do is come out en masse. And all of and this isn't just one protest group. This isn't one cause. This is everybody. This is trans rights, gay rights, BLM, animal activists, environmentalists. Everybody needs to come out.
Disabled rights,
women's rights.
disabled rights.
Yeah, and people you know, all civil rights, everybody needs to come out. I mean, even people that aren't interested in one of those causes, they need to come out as well, because they might be interested in doing this in the future.
But we need to do something, and we need to stop it. We need to fight for our right to stand up for what we believe in. And to get where we are today, we wouldn't have the rights that we have nowadays. Gay people wouldn't be able to get married if they weren't marching in the streets and protesting for it. You know, black
Yeah.
people would be able to sit on the bus, or, you know, sit in a
Yeah.
cafe with white people if they hadn't have got up and protested and fought for it. Women wouldn't
Yeah.
have had the jobs they've got and the right to vote if the suffragettes hadn't have picked shit up. But yeah.
And it was only like 1990 or something that proper Equality Act came in for people with disabilities? Only 1990, wasn't it? It's only 31 years ago.
Yeah. Not long at all. Yeah, definitely check out Quick Camp if you haven't seen it already. Check it out.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining me, Gawain. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It'll be down there. I'm not going to do an intro and exit now. Like and share this video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, Beans. Bye.